Do you ever find yourself trying to bring up your favorite tool in Adobe Photoshop, but even though you use the correct shortcut, Photoshop brings up a different tool instead? In Photoshop, there are many different tools that share the same shortcut. In fact, there are so many tools, it would just be impractical to give them all their own unique shortcut. But fortunately, there are two easy methods to bring up the tool you want, even when it shares a shortcut with other tools. So let me start with that first method. If I want to quickly bring up the paint bucket tool, then I would press the G shortcut to bring that up. But since the last tool I used with that shortcut was actually the gradient tool, it brings that up instead. And no matter how many times I press the G key, it just stays on the gradient tool. However, if I instead press Shift and G, then that brings up the paint bucket tool that I wanted in the first place. And if I press Shift and G again, then it switches back to the gradient tool. And this works for other shortcuts as well. If I press the L shortcut, then it brings up the selection brush. But if I press Shift and L, that brings up the lasso tool. And if I hit it again, then that brings up the polygon lasso. One more time, and that brings up the magnetic lasso, and so on and so on. That way you can quickly cycle through those tools to reach the one you want, saving you time in bringing up the correct tool. Now, if you don't want to use shortcuts, there is still one other method to be aware of. If you still want to use the sidebar to click through your tools, you can hold down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac and click on one of these tools. And each time you click while holding that down, it cycles through that stack, allowing you to quickly find the tool that you want. And unlike the first method, this also works with tools in the same category which do not share the same shortcut. For example, if I click down here on the Hand tool, I can see that the Hand tool uses the H shortcut, while the Rotate tool underneath uses the R shortcut. But if I again hold down the Alt or Option key while I click, Photoshop moves between those tools, even though they don't share a shortcut. So now you have two quick and easy methods for switching between similar tools in Adobe Photoshop. And now that you've mastered cycling through tools to find the one you want, did you know that you can scale an object to be super small and then later bring it back to its original size without any loss in quality? I have a video right here to show you the Photoshop workflow you should be using.